Hey everyone, excited to be back for this week's edition of Frequently Asked Questions for Commercial Real Estate. In today's video, what I want to do is talk about some strategies that you can employ if you are a landlord representative, meaning that you are representing a landlord to be able to find tenants for their space. So in today's video, we're going to share a few strategies that you can implement to be able to secure good tenants for your landlord clients. Now, before we dive into this video, I would greatly appreciate it if you could like and subscribe to this channel. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm and ensures more and more people can hear this message and learn about the many facets of commercial real estate. So now you've done that, go and like and subscribe below. Let's go ahead and dive right into this episode. All right, so in today's video, as I mentioned before, is we're going to share some strategies that you can employ to be able to identify and then ultimately secure tenants for your landlord clients. Now, as far as my particular experience is concerned, I've had several landlord rep assignments, and I've implemented some of these strategies to be able to secure tenants for this particular space. And I've also learned some of these strategies from different influencers that are, great influencers in the retail space, primarily being Beth Azor. I follow a lot of her stuff, and she does implement some of these strategies as well, which, I would highly encourage you to do. I've actually worked, like I said before, implement some of these strategies in my business as a result of watching some of these influencers talk about these types of things, and it's worked well from all my landlord rep assignments. So to start off, I think one of the most important things to do is understand the tenant mix. So when you get your landlord rep assignment, let's say that you're representing a landlord that owns a 50,000 square foot shopping center, and there's a variety of different tenants on site. You have to really get a feel and understanding for what types of uses are on site. Maybe you have some restaurants, maybe you have some medical uses, maybe you have a gym, get an understanding of all the different tenants on site, and then go through this checklist. First off, what type of tenants would be attractive to some of these neighboring tenants? So for example, if you have a breakfast shop or maybe a bagel shop on site, maybe finding a dinner spot could be beneficial as well, because when this bagel shop is maybe busy, it's going to be more in the morning time. And then the dinner time spot is going to be more busy in the evening time. So then parking is not necessarily an issue. If you get uses where they're parking hogs, meaning that their tenants or their clients take up a bunch of parking, it could affect other tenants on site, because now their clients or their clientele cannot park and get to their intended destination. And so those are the type of things you need to consider. You're always wanting to understand, what uses could potentially be good fits next to particular uses or in the center. And also, number two is what type of parking requirements are they going to have? As I mentioned before, one of the biggest variables when it comes to what types of tenants to put into space is, what are their parking requirements? If it's a gym, if it's a event space, sometimes churches, they're going to require a significant amount of parking, and that's going to take away parking from neighboring tenants. And so you can't just assume that because they're willing to pay a significant amount of rent, or, maybe you think that they're willing to sign a long-term lease, that maybe just means that they may not be a very good fit because of the fact they require a lot of parking, or maybe the clientele that they attract on site may not be supportive of other uses on site as well. So those are the types of things you need to consider before you start reaching out to potential tenants. So once you have an opportunity to sit down and really get an understanding of the types of tenants that you want, maybe you're targeting a bike shop, maybe you're targeting a restaurant, maybe you're targeting a game store, right? You create a list of different potential tenants that you think could work well and support the ecosystem of that center. Now it's time to strategically reach out to these potential tenants. So what I typically like to do is I create a brochure that highlights the benefits of the space and also the area. So I'll pull traffic counts, I'll pull demographics, I'll pull, how is the space laid out? I'll have a site plan of what the space looks like. You'll maybe take some really nice photos of aerials and times up throughout the center that showcases the traffic counts and how vibrant the center is. And then you create a brochure that you can start sharing with different potential tenants. And so what I typically do is I will either create a list of, let's say I'm targeting a bike store. I'll create a list of 5 to 10 bike stores just through my Google searches. And then I'll either individually reach out to them by giving them a call or an email. I may reach out to them via Instagram and Facebook and some other social media platforms, which again, if they're a smaller entity, maybe a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stores, maybe even up to sometimes even more stores. A lot of times the owners are the ones who manage the social media accounts. So you're able to get pretty high hit rates as far as being able to reach out to them and see if they have any interest in being in the space. And so I'll typically do that. And if they show interest in wanting to be in the space or have an interest in potentially learning more about the space, then I will share the brochure with them and then coordinate a time for them to come to see the space. So those are the strategies that I typically use for, you know, the local / regional types of tenants. Now, if you're trying to target national tenants, you may have to go a step beyond this. And this is a strategy that I actually learned from Beth Azor, who talked about the fact that a lot of these national tenants, they get solicited by entities around, by brokers around the country. They're getting sites sent to them left and right. And if it's just a generic, you know, brochure that says, oh, this site's great because of XYZ, and it's not really tailored or specific to that particular national tenant, then they're just going to not even look at it. So what ends up, what she recommends, which I think is a phenomenal piece of advice, is to be very strategic about how you reach out to some of these national tenants. A lot of times these national tenants will have their requirements on their website. They have a real estate page and they'll say, these are the types of sites that we go after. You know, this is the type of demographics. These are the type of traffic counts. You know, these are the range of different, you know, tenants we want to see on site. You know, there's a variety of different requirements that they may provide public facing. And so what you want to do is you want to tailor your brochure or your email or whatever that you're going to put in front of these national real estate directors to be specific to them. So you may say something along the lines of, well, you create this brochure, you reference that maybe the requirement is 2,000 square feet and your space is 1,980 square feet. You reference, you know, this is almost identical to the requirement that you guys have. Based on the demographic profiles you have on your real estate page, these demographics align perfectly. The traffic counts in this area and the visibility and accessibility of the site are phenomenal. And then, oh, by the way, you know, where are your competitors in relation to this site, right? So you may get a map of, you know, the area, and you say, okay, well, your competitor number 1 is over here, competitor number 2 is over here, competitor number 3 is over here. By you moving to this particular site, you're going to be capturing a market that your competitors are not there yet. So again, you create a compelling vision or compelling story that will elicit some form of response. Now, you may not always get a response, but the likelihood of you getting a response when you have something that tailored is going to be a lot higher than it would be if you're just issuing out a general type of solicitation. So hopefully you gain some value from this video. A big piece, kind of the takeaways, is get an understanding of what types of tenants you want on site. That requires you to really put some, you know, mental power behind it to say, okay, well, what types of uses could support the uses on site, and also what type of parking requirement are they going to have, and is it going to cause issues as far as, you know, being able to access the site for other clients of different tenants. And then finally, are they bringing the right type of clientele depending on what the other uses on site are also trying to target. So those are the types of things you need to consider as you're looking at that. And then strategically reach out to these tenants once you have a brochure created. And then, you know, once you do reach out via social media, reach out via, you know, all different types of methods, including email and calling. And then for national tenants, take a more strategic approach, get an understanding of what their actual requirements are, go to their website, go to their real estate page, and then tailor your message to fit exactly what they are in fact looking for. So hopefully you gain some value from this video. Obviously, I would greatly appreciate the support. If you're interested, please like and subscribe. If you yourself are a tenant looking for space here in the Louisville metro area, I do a lot of retail leasing. I'd be happy to help you with that search. Feel free to reach out to me. My number is 502-536-7315, or you can reach me via email at raphael@crosantigroup.com. Thanks again so much for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time.